What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a loose kind of roadmap for Marvel Spider-Man 2 as we approach the game releasing. I thought this would be fun and to kind of put like dates in perspective. Now, there's no definitive dates, but I do want to talk about when you could maybe expect review copies to go out. When could the review scores go live? Things like that. That's what I want to get to in this video. Because ultimately, I think in such a short amount of time, they've done kind of what people have been asking for forever. It's actually funny seeing people now saying they think that they showed too much, which I don't necessarily disagree, but the funny part to that, right, is that we've been asking, or as a fandom, the fans have been asking for months and months to give us something. There was talk of the marketing not being good, and then the span of, what do you want to say, 2 to 3 weeks, they've given so much information on Marvel Spider-Man 2, to the point that for me, I think maybe I've said this before, for me, I'm done. Like, I really don't need to see anything else. I will see it if it's out there, but I'm totally happy with everything that they've shown up to this point. I think they've done a great job. Okay, so we're sitting here now on September 22nd. The game comes out on the 20th, and, you know, as opposed to like other games, there's no, you pay the $10, you play it a few days early, so you don't have to worry about, okay, well, when do review scores have to kind of go live for that? Let's work backwards. So the game comes out October 20th. What seems to be happening with the games that Sony, I guess, believes in the most is you can probably get a review out about a week early. There are many games in the last couple of years, and it's become, you know, a trend that the reviews will go live like a day or two before, okay? I don't think, this is just a prediction for right now, I don't think Spider-Man 2 is going to do that. I think it's going to be more like God of War Ragnarok, which was not a day or two before the game comes out. So I would say either October 13th, which is the Friday before, or even October 16th. Those would probably be the days that you would expect a review. We'll talk probably more about reviews as we get closer. Quick throw in, as I always try to tell people, make the decision based off of what you see. I personally don't go by the review scores. It's okay if the game gets a 90 versus a 91 or an 89 versus a 90, right? We'll talk about that as we get closer, but that's one thing you got to be, you know, aware of, reviews. And also, because of reviews, that's when the most amount of things of this game is going to come out. It's not when the game is going to leak. I want to talk about that in this video as well. But if you're, you know, well, I don't want to see anything else than we've already seen, those days you're going to get more stuff, and I think things are probably going to fall through the cracks those days as well. So if anybody accidentally spoils something in the story, those would probably be the days that they would accidentally come out, or again, like slip through the cracks. You wouldn't even know it. You're maybe reading a review and they give something away that you weren't expecting them to give away, right? So that's that part. But the bigger part to even that, and again, working backwards, so when do the reviews go out, right? Because you can't write a review unless you have the game. So I would say, again, if you're going by the 13th or the 16th, about a week before. Now, I think God of War was even sooner, and that's going to be really interesting. I think God of War, they gave the codes out to people more than a week before the reviews went live. So if they're going to do the same thing, to be honest with, and this is actually nuts to think about, this is not for sure, again, prediction, next week, right? The week of the 25th, nothing. And I actually think there'll be very little news on Spider-Man next week. Maybe the accessibility options that was talked about, that they're still going to show those. And also the launch times, right? Like the map picture that all the developers put out. That might be, probably not next week, but the accessibility thing might be. Maybe the week after, or maybe like the week of the 9th would be the map of the world. And it says, okay, this game launches at midnight here, but it launches at 2 a.m. here, right? That thing. That's probably a little bit later. But the thing you got to be careful about is next week, maybe accessibility, maybe not, maybe you don't get much at all. Week after, the week of October 2nd, right, is that Monday, it's kind of likely that the codes for the game will go out. Now, why is that important? Well, only some people are going to, right? Not everybody on planet Earth is going to get it, but a few things to keep in mind there. Number one, that's also probably the week that you're going to start to see the mom and pop shops of the world, and in Switzerland and just all these odd places that you'll see people just walking out of the store, and they'll post on Twitter, hey, they gave me Cyberpunk. Hey, they gave me God of War. Remember, there was God of War things where they were giving away the bundles of the PlayStation that came with God of War came with it, I guess. They were giving that away at, say, wherever around the world, like a week or two before God of War came out. So people were just kind of walking out with the disc almost on accident. So I would say you got maybe one final week, which, again, that's kind of the nuts part, right? One more week of nothing, of being relatively safe. Like nobody is spoiling anything because honestly, it's all good. There's nothing to spoil. But the week after that, I think codes will probably go out to people. And a few things happen there too, right? So you'll have people that probably go on Twitch that shouldn't go on Twitch. You'll have people, if it's like a Starfield situation, you might have some very rogue people go on Discords and say, hey, well, this part of the game is this. And Starfield, there was a very big neglect of care about the NDA. There were people breaking NDAs all over the place for Starfield weeks before that game had come out. I don't know if Spider-Man will be the same way, but honestly, we saw it with God of War. Like, that's the thing. God of War started to get spoiled a few weeks before the game came out, like just all over the place. There was also a reviewer, I don't remember who it was, but remember there was the reviewer that forgot to turn off the synchronization of the PlayStation, so whenever he earned a trophy in Ragnarok, the trophy would tweet itself to Twitter, so people were seeing kind of live him going through the game and the trophy names, and then the pictures of the scene as the trophy, pop. And that was just a mistake. That guy's not evil or malicious or anything. That was just, something that he accidentally did. But those are things that are about to happen. So that's honestly, I would say, my rough little roadmap. I think accessibility is coming extremely soon. I think something like the time period of when the game's going to launch, that's probably right after that. I'm sure there'll be a couple things. Obviously, a launch trailer, I think, will either be that week or maybe the week before Spider-Man comes out. But you just got to be careful for the review codes, I guess, to go out to people, and then for the scores, obviously, because those days it's just going to be a lot of, and we'll talk again about that, toxicity. You'll have the fanboys, you'll have all that stuff happening, and you'll also have new information, new gameplay, segments that you haven't seen before. So that'll be the time to kind of piece out if you haven't done it already. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I will cover as much of this as possible, but I do understand people leaving when they feel they've seen enough, so I definitely get that. I wish you all the best. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.